going on, everybody, and welcome to the Washington Brawl podcast, our first ever victory/post-game pod as the Washington football team handily defeated Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles with a staggering 8 sacks on defense led by the Predator, Chase Young. Actually, our first home win since 2014 and the first win of the Ron Rivera era. This show, of course, is presented to you by the Brawl Network. I am your host, Parker Hamlin, joined alongside by my co-host and everyone's favorite Hokie, Chris Fowler. And for the first time ever joining us as an official contributor for the Brawl Network, our latest signing, and now the Washington Brawl insider, Catch the Blitz's own Owen Smith. Owen, say hi to everybody, brother.
Hey guys, how you guys doing today? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Can't really be here.
Yeah, man, we're stoked to have Owen on the team moving forward. I know some of you may remember Owen earlier in the offseason, had a huge exclusive with Capri Bibbs. Had him on a guest, had him as a guest earlier. So he always has a pulse on what's going on as far as Washington football is concerned. So, Owen, you ready to get started?
Oh, definitely, man. Let's get to this.
All right, guys. Oh, God, that's terrible. God, my notifications are so bad when I'm recording. Oh, the Eagles game's over. Oh, it's not the Eagles game. The Giants game. The Giants game, my bad.
All right, there we go. They lose, right?
Yes, they lost. So your Washington football team is sitting atop the NFC East. Down go the New York Football Giants. Did you guys happen to see that just duck Daniel Jones through?
Of this drive coming up. Jones scrambling again. He throws, ball lofted in the air, and it's intercepted. Cameron Hayward ends a Giant drive. Bud Dupree on the pressure, and that is a gutting end to a marathon march.
I think Chris, did you send that to me?
No, I didn't send it to you, but I tweeted at Giants Brawl. I doubt they're listening right now, especially after coming off of that loss. But I just told them it looks like they have a really good quarterback of the future, man. You know, Dwayne didn't put up flashy numbers, but he didn't throw a duck to the wrong team in the red zone. So, congrats, Daniel Jones. He looked really solid out there in his first start as a New York Giant.
Hey man, let's not disrespect the number 6 overall pick.
Yeah, Giants fans they gotta get their head out their ass, man. Daniel Jones is not the future. He is literally the worst of Eli Manning just on a consistent basis.
And, we're not here to talk about the Giants, man, but I mean, he just gives away the ball at like a staggering rate. And like you said, Dwayne Haskins didn't put up like an incredible stat line during this game, but at the same time, you can't really say he hurt us as much as Daniel Jones is definitely hurting, the Giants, especially late in the game, like you showed me. So, but as we previewed last week, and all the team with no name, the Washington football team, took on the Philadelphia Eagles in a Week 1 matchup at FedEx Field on Sunday. And there's plenty of storylines going into the matchups, one being injuries. The Philadelphia Eagles were down Miles Sanders, Derek Barnett, Jaron Hargrave, Alshon Jeffrey, Lane Johnson. We had a couple out, Kendall Fuller, a few other guys. But I'm just going to go ahead and say this outright. Who bleeping cares?
Watch your profanity.
I mean, come on, man.
Honestly.
Both of you were on the timeline during the game. You saw the excuses flying in a league where you're being paid to play at the highest level. Do you guys attribute the collapse of Philadelphia in this game to personnel? Chris, I'll start with you.
As much as I hate to say it, I do, man. I won't say it was a nail-biter game, but we definitely went down early, and you could see a momentum shift anyways, but I think that momentum carried on because of the amount of Eagles that went down. Now, I'm not saying we couldn't have beat them if they were healthy, but I think it definitely attributed to that. Now, we'll say this. If there's any positive to look at in this context of did injuries help us win or whatever, it's the fact that we were able to beat a beaten-up Phillies team. Because last year, we got beat by a freaking backup quarterback playing wide receiver. We couldn't even beat an injury-prone Eagles team last year. So if there's anything to look at positive, if you want to talk about, injuries, won the game for the Washington football team, at least it did because we couldn't do that last year.
But the media never cared when it was us, man. They never cared. How many Jay Gruden teams have been decimated by injury? And, everybody says, all these excuses, just lose, it's the NFL, it's the NFL, it's the NFL. I don't feel sorry for the Eagles. It sucks to see guys like Lane Johnson, Derek Barnett, Alshon Jeffrey. You got Pro Bowlers, high caliber players who didn't make the trip. But at the end of the day, man, you play to win. You coach to win. Owen, how does that make you feel?
Okay, so I think we need to hold our horses here. The Eagles, definitely part of their loss contributed to the fact that their offensive line was severely beaten up. They had 2 people that never played in a game in the NFL before playing. They had one guy hadn't even been to an NFL game before playing as a starting, I think, left guard or right guard. I think it definitely contributed, but at the same time, I would say Washington's offensive line was probably just as bad during that game. We just had a more dominant defense, and we just took advantage of their losses better than they took advantage of ours. I think our team played overall better, and their injuries and their losses definitely helped us win, but we probably still would have won.
Owen,
I
I
know.
definitely agree with you here, man. I say we still won the game. I don't think Philly lost the game. I think we won the game. But
Yeah,
I will definitely say that the injuries added to that. But I will also agree with you in saying that our offensive line was far worse. This was an interesting stat I
trash.
found. This was an interesting stat I found on Next Gen Stats. In Week 1, Dwayne Haskins had an average time to throw the ball of 2.25 seconds. That was worst in the NFL in Week 1. Carson Wentz was about 7th or 8th, 2.61 seconds time he had to get rid of the ball. So, we got 8 sacks. I don't think the Eagles had but maybe 2 or 3, but it proved to you that Dwayne Haskins had pressure in his lap all day and definitely didn't have the time that Carson Wentz had, even if it was by a few tenths of a second.
If you
All
watch the
these
game, he was constantly weaving in and out of the pocket trying to get away.
Well, you got all these excuses flying in now that after they lost the game, way after the fact. I mean, the Eagles started off hot, man. We started off extremely slow. Wentz found Ertz early, and we looked dead on arrival, man. We looked like the same old Washington football team, especially after they took such a commanding lead, and looked like the writing was already on the wall until Chase Young appeared. That, my friend, was the difference in the game. Some will say the momentum changed after the Fabian Moreau interception we'll get into later, but I truly believe the game was changed when Chase Young formally introduced himself to Carson Wentz on a play that I don't think I'll ever forget. And for those of you who are watching, I know Owen and Chris, you guys are watching, but let me set the scene a little bit here. I think it's a second quarter, third down. They're in the red zone. Chase eats a chip block, goes high on Wentz, who was seemingly going to make one of his, signature escapes that we're so used to seeing. But then the 6'4", 264-pound defensive end off of one knee after initially missing the sack leaps and forces the fumble.
It's Wentz. Pump fakes in trouble and fumble the football. It's loose. And Philadelphia was there to recover with Kelsey hopping on it. So the third sack of the drive by Washington, and Eagles will try it for 3.
There's a defensive line we've talked about. I mean, they have the ability to put tremendous pressure. Look at Chase Young right there, reaching up, swiping the football away.
Carson's a big cat, man. 6'5", 237. And to me, it's almost as if Chase was made to be Wentz's, kryptonite. And from that point on, he was pretty much in Wentz's face every single snap. So, Chris, I'll start with you. Just how much of a difference do you believe that Chase Young made in this game? Do you think that the team wins this game without him?
We talked about this in the offseason if Chase Young would win us games. I believe he won this
Last
game
week.
for us. Yeah, I believe he won this game for us. He only had a sack and a half. I say only. It's his first game in the NFL. He only had a sack and a half. But we had 8 sacks total. When did you see that last year? It's the same play. It's the same personnel, different scheme, of course, but it's the same personnel. No one was getting to the quarterback as often as they did Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. So I think the attention that Chase Young drew, I think the energy that he brought, definitely attributed. Okay, also you can think about it this way: Kerrigan didn't play but 30% of the defensive snaps, but he led the team in sacks. Is that rest just enough for him to come out and make a huge impact on the snaps he does have?
Chase is just a problem, man. I mean, he led, like you said, he led the entire defense in snaps. Even on plays that were unofficial, like that offsides he had against Jason Peters, he absolutely abused him. And I think forced an interception by Wentz. He met Boston Scott in the backfield pretty consistently, even when he was being double teamed.
That was one thing we didn't hear of much was his run defense. He definitely blew up some runs big time. He made an impact on every play.
Absolutely. To me, he is the catalyst of this defense, of this blueprint, of that San Francisco 49er blueprint that a week ago some people were saying outlandish, and now, after Victory Monday, Victory Sunday, everybody's saying it's starting to look a lot more realistic than we thought it was. Owen, do you think we get this win without Chase Young?
I think we don't, but I also think we need to backtrack a little bit. We're talking about Chase Young like he was a human highlight reel throughout the entire game, which he was. He was pretty good. He made big plays, but he wasn't necessarily in every play had Carson Wentz running defensive end, and it's because his pressure on the end allowed our other defensive linemen to get in and make plays. That's why he won the game. He drew the attention off of our other talented defensive linemen. So people sitting at home that are still expecting him to have like an NFL history sack record coming off of this year, I wouldn't necessarily still expect that. I think that all Chase Young does is on healthy offensive lines and other offensive lines, he draws the attention away from people like a Ryan Kerrigan who led the team in sacks, which I don't think he would have done if Chase wasn't there. I think that like he opens up holes for Jonathan Allen and other like guys that sure they've had a little bit of history in the league, but they don't have those numbers otherwise.
I think Jonathan Allen's a great name to point out because, I mean, quite frankly, he is the leader of this defense, but he looked like a monster the entire game. You know, I mean, honestly, I don't think I've seen a performance out of Jonathan Allen like we did on Sunday, and I think that all attributes to Chase Young. And I know you say we need to backtrack, and, you know, Chase didn't have the greatest defensive performance of all time, but at the same time,
it's his first game.
It's his first game.
It's his floor. It's his floor, and that's the scary thing.
He's the highest.
His floor is like, whoa, that's scary.
No, it's a great point. You know, he was the highest rated rookie of week 1. You know, I know we got Titans and Broncos, which just went underway, so we got one more game left. But, I mean, it's easy to say he is going to get rookie of the week for sure. And, you know, you also have to look at the company that he is in. This is the best rookie debut by the defensive end since the PFF era back in 2006. You know, he's in the same company as guys as Von Miller, Joey Bosa, the criminally underrated Chandler Jones. This is a hell of a start for Chase Young, man. And he looks like he's as advertised. And, you know, he told Ryan Mitchell
he's not going to win Rookie of the Week because he's in Washington. That's why he's not going to win Rookie of the Week.
Amen to that.
He hates us.
I was stunned we made the poster on Fox. I mean, how long has it been since that happened?
Such a long time.
So I definitely think the biggest story of the day was the defense. So I'll jump into a few stats right now. You know, we've talked about Chase Young's sack and a half. He also had 4 pressures to go along with that. Ryan Kerrigan led the way with 2 sacks. Ioannidis, a sack and a half. Bostic had the 1 sack. I think everyone remembers that when he came in flying like a bat out of hell and just folded Carson Wentz.
Philadelphia only 8 of 24 on 4th downs last year. Here comes the house. Wentz is buried. Bostic on the linebacker blitz, and that's that.
Sweat had a sack. Allen and Payne both had a half a sack. This is one thing that kind of gets lost in the sauce sometimes is the pressures. John Allen led the team with 5 quarterback pressures. Matthew Ioannidis was right there with 5 too. Young, Kerrigan with 4. Bostic also with 4. So not only did we have 8 sacks, we had a hell of a lot of pressures too, man. We were all up in Carson Wentz's shiznit. That's to go along also with 2 interceptions. We all remember those. And 3 forced fumbles, one of those being recovered. Defense won this game. We can talk about Chase Young. I think Chase Young was definitely the highlight of the defense, but defense won this game, man. I think that's pretty well known by everyone with working eyes.
But we've seen this defense without Chase Young. We saw last year. We had a lot of these, you know, mind you, first-round draft picks, you know, and they weren't fitting the bill. You know, things just weren't clicking. But, you know, Chase said he wore green because he felt like money, and my God, was he money.
I'm noticing you chose the color green to wear today, and when I played, I always wore the color of the team that we were playing against. What's your reason for choosing green?
I feel like I look like money right now. You know that's how I feel like. You know, I came out, you know, trying to prove a point with what I put on.
That is an iconic answer if I've ever heard one.
And like you guys said, the defense looked great. Things looked rough early, though. You know, Rivera said post-game, looked like a different team was playing in the first quarter. But past that, the defense, like you said, turned on the Jets in spite of some dumb penalties and the Eagles consistently moving the chains. Wentz actually found Dallas Goedert in a pretty nasty back shoulder touchdown deep.
Wentz airing it out, has Goddard. What an adjustment and the catch for the touchdown.
Where he torched Wonder Bread and Kevin Pierre-Louis, for some reason was in coverage. Kevin Pierre-Louis had a rather rough outing. How much do you think this team missed Thomas Davis, Chris?
I don't know if that play is a Thomas Davis play. He's definitely not a coverage linebacker, even though I think he's very smart, very knowledgeable. Who knows? He could have been back there. I think it was just a great play. KPL is not really the best coverage linebacker out there, and I think we all understand that.
Career special teamer, really.
And we can talk about this more. I didn't think Apke had a great game, but I don't think that one was on him. I mean, we all saw Goddard was looking to the right. The ball was supposed to be over his right shoulder. Carson put it on the left shoulder just so Apke wouldn't get there. I think Apke might have gotten there if it was on the right shoulder. It was just a great play by Philly. KPL was out of position, and I think this brings up concern too. Where was Cole Holcomb? I mean, he started on special teams. He got banged up. Then he came back in special teams.
I'm telling you, Cole Holcomb, and we'll get into this a little bit later. Cole Holcomb, they didn't draft this guy. They were not high on Cole Holcomb. I feel like he's kind of a guy that we kind of hyped up in house and kind of made him look like he was a lot better than he really was. John Bostic clearly deserves a nod in a linebacker, and we'll get into that later. But on that same play you were just referring to, Chris, people were already clamoring for Appy to get pulled out. Owen, I know you like the role that Cameron Curl was playing in certain packages, but if there is a consistency issue with Apke in the secondary, do you see him being pulled at some point for Cameron Curl?
I don't. I think that I love Washington's scheme because of this. Washington's scheme is based around having the defensive line up, completely disrupt the quarterback and allow our young guys like our Fabian and our Jimmy Moreland, who came around with a pick, I'm very happy. Jimmy's pick meant so much to me personally. Just because he's the people's corner, I was super happy when he
Owen's a Jimmy Moreland guy, for those who don't know.
Jimmy. I'm so big on Jimmy. But to backtrack, our schemes to get the quarterback disrupted and to make throws that our young ball hawks can then trust their instincts to get the ball. That's what that's what it is. What Cameron Curl's position in this scheme right now is to go in the flat and make plays. You saw him blow up the running back.
Absolutely.
Great tackle.
Play, nailed him in the legs. That's going to be his position all season. They got their man to play flat like a beast. Not necessarily to be a ball hawk, but to blow up the runner and the wide receiver as soon as they get the ball. Apaki has never been that man. He's never been a guy that they were like, yeah, go blow up a runner. He's always been the track the guy in the deep and try and blow him up. Not a flat safety. So I don't think their position scheme wise mixes well at all.
So Cameron Curl played 22 snaps in this game. That was 32% of all defensive snaps. This was the greatest thing about Cameron Curl. The one time we saw him on the field was when he made a big play. We didn't see him. I didn't personally see him on TV the rest of the game, which usually means if you're a defensive back that you didn't do anything wrong. So yeah, hats off to Cameron Curl, man. I think he surprised a lot of people.
Like Owen said, man, those guys were flying around. Fabian Moreau got a spectacular interception that I think a lot of people say was the momentum switch in that game. A few minutes before halftime, that also led to the Logan Thomas touchdown that got the Washington football team on the board right for the half. Logan Thomas is a guy that I'm sure Chris was going to be happy to discuss.
I told you.
4 receptions, 37 yards. What a stat line. Calm down, Homer. 1 touchdown.
Parker, context.
Look, I know when you hear those numbers, a lot of people you're right, context is important. None of those numbers are to write home about. But what about his performance stood out to you, Chris?
This is what I saw from Logan Thomas. You can't give him much credit on the touchdown because there wasn't a Philadelphia Eagle in sight, and Dwayne didn't have to do anything but just toss it up.
Haskins over the middle. It's caught for the touchdown. Logan Thomas and Washington on the board.
There's not much hat tip for that one. What I will say is he made, I feel like, big plays down the stretch. He got open and made a great grab. I think it was a big 20-yard pass connection, which definitely added to the momentum in the time. That was our offense, man. If our offense could generate any sort of momentum, we were good. You felt that.
It was a fist fight.
We scored 14 points off the 2 defensive interceptions, and it was the best offense I've seen from this team in years, since I would say better than the Alex Smith offense. So you felt that momentum going, and he added to that momentum. His best play of the day was when he laid out to catch that ball on 3rd down.
He stole it from me.
And dove and wasn't touched, so he gets up and dives over for the 1st down.
Guess that's his theme today. Haskins somehow gets it in there on a 3rd and 8, and then the second effort by Thomas, I think that got him the 1st down. It looks like it does.
Can I just say this real quick? I think that you were completely right to be hot on Thomas, and I think it's because of how closely he resembles Greg Olsen. In Ron's old offense, he's only 1 inch away from being the same height as Greg Olsen, and he's only 5 pounds difference.
I hope he doesn't have the same injury history.
he is such a replica of Greg. I think that he's going to use that. Ron will use him a little bit how he used Greg, and it'll be numbers like that.
I'll give you this, Chris. He was a constant in that passing game. When Dwayne needed somebody in the middle of the field, Logan was always there. And like you said, that play on 3rd and 8 where he extended after no one touched him, just to have that wherewithal, that awareness, it was phenomenal by Logan Thomas. I thought it was kind of some bargain bin shopping when we had him at tight end one, but I mean, he showed me out. If he, especially the tight end position where we're so used to having no consistency since Jordan Reed was, on and off the field. But, big plays were a dime a dozen as the Washington football team run game was null and void early and often. Most attributed these offensive woes to second-year quarterback Dwayne Haskins, who, like Coach Rivera said, kind of looked nervous early in the game, especially with some of his decision-making. Dwayne started to find his way at the end of the first half, as did the rest of the guys, like Antonio Gibson with that huge draw he had, Terry McLaurin moving the chains like he always does. Dontre Ullman had a few huge catches and moved the chains. They weren't really looking like the Kansas City Chiefs out there, but Haskins and company weren't turning the ball over and keeping the football team alive. Owen, what did you make of Dwayne's performance Sunday, and why do you think things didn't click in the first half?
I think things didn't click in the first half because of how we were calling plays. I honestly think that we were trying to create our own momentum in a team that plays really electric and with a lot of energy. You're not going to be able to create your own momentum very easily on offense against the Eagles, and it's because of their mentality, that underdog mentality that made them win the Super Bowl. You cannot get in their heads. They're going to be energetic every snap. They want it. So the only way you're going to be able to really break their momentum is on defense, which is what we did. We broke their momentum, right? With our defensive front, broke the momentum, then we're able to carry that on into offense. But we tried to break it first half with the offense. We tried to hit the defense hard and create momentum, but it didn't work simply because of how electric they are.
I think that is a big difference, is just the mentality that Doug Pederson brings to that team. And to me, that was the biggest advantage going into this game for the Philadelphia Eagles, was just the fact that Doug Pederson's their head coach. And I actually read his book a little while back, and he gets his guys ready, man. And, we're an organization that's not used to seeing that whatsoever, especially with the instability we've had head coach. But the thing about Haskins' performance that I thought was really reminiscent of was the 2018 season with Alex Smith. No turnovers. He was protecting the ball. He kept his team alive. Even though the Washington football team was down at halftime, 17-7, I definitely think it's safe to say that no Jay Gruden team would ever dig themselves out of this.
Hell effing no.
Not at all.
Look, and I don't know if you guys had the same feeling, but you felt when Moreau gets the pick and we score to make it 17-7, I'm sure you guys were just as pissed off as I was seeing us go down 17-0. But when you see, how it played out right before halftime, I don't know about you guys, but I was okay going into the second half. I was like, we got a chance. We have not seen Rivera coach a game, and I was confident. Not confident. I felt okay.
I was scared because that was the first time all game I'd seen us have momentum. And I was like, oh no, we're now going into the locker room the first time we've had momentum the entire game. This is going to screw us over big time. It's not going to carry out. And then
exactly
we carried through. That was important.
But being down 17-0 with no answers on offense is a lot different than being down 10 after just scoring a touchdown. So I do agree with you. It is hard to give that ball back over to Philly after finally picking up some momentum. But I felt we were in a much better spot. And I just had the confidence. After never seeing Rivera coach a game, I had the confidence that we're not just going to come out and stink it up in the second half.
Also, can I just say real quick that halftime speech, Dwayne gave the halftime speech because Ron was getting an IV because of his
Yeah, exactly. You beat me to it. Coach Rivera had already made arrangements to get an IV at halftime due to his ongoing battle with cancer, as everybody knows. What a badass. He ordered Malcolm Blanken to find someone to address the team, and out of nowhere, Dwayne Haskins, who's had anything but a great first half in that game, addressed the team, rallied them, saying, "We're not Philly's little brother, man. And this is our house. We're at FedEx Field. There's no fans here, but this is our field." And he directly mentioned, last year's opener where they were up 17-0 and they blew the lead. He says, "Why not us?" And Dwayne has seemingly bought into Rivera's challenge. Chris, how did that entire story make you feel? Especially with Dwayne Haskins' leadership being in question last year.
Man, I'm ready to call it quits on the season. I feel like I can go home. I can end the 2020 season knowing I feel pretty damn good about this first game, man. My season is made. we definitely had the most badass storyline of week 1. In my
Not
opinion,
even close.
down. This is by far better than the You Like That game. Far better than practically any other RG3
That was
game.
actually our biggest comeback since the You Like That game.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, man. It felt effing good. I mean, we have talked this offseason just on and on about everything that's wrong, everything that's wrong, everything that's wrong. And then we're down 17-0. Our coach gets a little IV juice. Dwayne Haskins gets our team pumped up. We come back 27 unanswered, man. It doesn't get any effing better than that. I loved it. I was absolutely psyched after the game.
They scored 21 unanswered points. Haskins finished with 17 completions, 178 yards, and a touchdown. And one big thing that really stuck out to me, and this is, like I said, would never happen in a Jay Gruden coach team. Rivera said at halftime, nobody was pointing fingers at each other. And you could tell because to start off the second half, the people's corner, Jimmy Moreland, secured a huge interception that was extremely reminiscent of Fabian's earlier. And he kicked off the second half with a bang. And like I said, unlike in previous years, adjustments were made, and you could tell. And the pass rush just got even more and more relentless. Jack Del Rio's defense had a constant rotation and pressure on Wentz. And the desperation became apparent because they actually went for it on fourth and whatever on our 45-yard line. Because they were trying to quote unquote attack success. John Bostic, like Chris was talking about earlier, freelance and just decimated Carson Wentz as he did the entire game.
When's the last time we saw a well-run blitz in a situation like that?
Hold up. When was the last time we saw a well-run defense?
That's very true, too.
Amen to that.
I can't remember the last time we sent, pressure that got through. Parker, we talked about this all season, and I know Owen feels the same way. This defense gets immediately better just by Greg Minuski being in Kentucky or whatever the hell he is.
This team gets better when Bruce Allen gets fired after one game. I mean, it's a dramatic shift in ideology and culture and just outlook. And you could tell, once things started turning around, it's like the team was starting to believe it themselves. It's like almost, like you said, we've been talking about it, but seeing it is a completely different story. But let's go back to John Bostic for a second. Owen, what did you think about him at middle linebacker?
Okay, so John Bostic is by far right now my hero of game 1 more than anyone else because I didn't see it coming. I thought he was going to get cut. I'm not going to lie. I thought he was just another one of those players, like a Nate Orchard player that came in, played some good games, but he wouldn't make the final squad because I thought, I'm not going to lie, Cole Holcomb was probably going to take his place or some type of other linebacker because we have a lot of young studs in that room that I thought could take his place easily. But he came through and he played well. He's not a ball hawk. He will hit the running back in the face. He will hit the quarterback apparently in the face. I love him. He's just he'll crack someone's head. I love his mentality.
Go ahead, Parker.
He's Zach Brown without the baggage. He's a sure tackler. His coverage isn't amazing, but, he's a constant. He's somebody you can rely on in the middle. And I think that's why this coaching staff likes him so much. And quite frankly, I was never a big guy on the Cole Holcomb hype. He got a lot of good tackles, but I feel like a lot of people really only cared about that mainly because of his draft status. Like Chris said earlier, he saw the field mainly as a special teamer. But, I think Bostic played pretty solid. I think he's definitely earned, that starting role. Chris, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll say this. You reminded me about something else too, so I'll address that first. Did you guys see Zach Brown on the Instagram story?
Yes.
I know everyone hated Zach Brown. I had a little bit of respect for him. I thought he was a really good player.
He was
in his time as Washington, and that was ugly. If anyone doesn't know, he first mocked Dwayne Haskins' stat line when he was 1 for 3 or something, and then he mocked the score when it was 17-0. Then he said, "Oh damn, they lost. Go Rams," or some shit like that.
I wonder how long it took him to type that.
He was wearing an Eagles jersey in the car leading up to that. He took a video of him and he was like, "Yeah, fly Eagles, fly!" He was yelling a whole lot of stuff in his car before the game, and then he was bragging about how badly we were gonna lose. And then he just at the end he was like, "Yeah, now I'm a Rams fan. Yeah, boy." And the man pulled out a Rams jersey out of nowhere. He was like,
he's got his closet stocked up. But also, we got to talk about this too. Carson Wentz will not make it another game if this new technique of taking a sack continues. Are you guys seeing this? Where he just rolls up, He literally does everything. I think our high school coaches told us exactly not to do. Please tell me he just folds over every time he's about to get sacked.
So I understand what he's trying to do, and it's worked several times. If y'all remember that big play where it was Mason Foster, it was a couple other linebackers, and everyone just closed on him, and he somehow got out and ran. Do you remember that play from 2 years ago?
Yeah, we talked about it last week actually.
It's the same type of mentality that he's trying to pull, except for now, instead of trying to duck underneath the arm, he's trying to go underneath the linebacker's legs, I guess. I don't know.
I'm telling you, man, Chase Young, the whole reason he was built to stop Carson Wentz. He is literally the answer for Carson Wentz, because I'm telling you, it just prior to this and all of our games against the Philadelphia Eagles, Carson Wentz has looked like Superman, and he has never looked more human than he has when Chase Young was on the field. I actually found the tweet you guys were talking about. I was talking about Junior Galette a while ago. He actually tweeted, so far it looks like Tress Way is still Washington's best player. Take what you can from that assertion. It's like, dude, what are you gaining? What are you benefiting from by slandering the team?
I'll be honest, I kind of agree.
It's tattooed on you.
Whoa! We're gonna backtrack to what Chris just said. You said what? You agree with him?
Yeah, Tressway is a dog, man. You cannot deny it.
These former players just look so bitter on social media. And then you have Chris Baker, who, is just as happy as he would be if he was still on the team. But we're getting sidetracked because going into the fourth quarter, we're tied up 17-all after Hopkins thankfully didn't shank that field goal. But we look like we're ready to hurt all over again as Washington football team fans. At least that's where I was. We're used to coming so close and falling short, but that is when situational football became the key to victory for the Washington football team. Inside the 10, tied 17-all, Scott Turner and Ron Rivera made their big nut play of the game and went for the knockout below. Went for it on 4th and whatever inside the 5. Chris, did you agree with the ideology?
Oh, hell yes, man. And I'll be honest, I was sitting there with my roommate, and I told him I won't be mad either way this goes. You take the field goal, you take the points.
Situational football.
You go for it. And, you either pin Philly inside the goal line or inside deep into their own territory, or you look at, getting a first down. However, let's just put ourselves back to last week, Parker. Let's say on the podcast I told you, hey, we're in a tied ball game. We're in the red zone. It's 4th and 3. Let's hand it off to Peyton Barber. What would you have told me?
I would have told you were full of it, especially fresh off the AP snap. The AP release, I don't know, man. We'll get into Barber in a second, man, but I love Rivera's attitude, man.
And then he gives us a slow clap after we get the first down. He's just
it's like he knew it was gonna happen. And,
like he chipped it up on the green and left it in within 6 feet of the hole. That was his reaction to the conversion on 4th down.
His quote, too, he says, we didn't come here to tie, we came here to win. And, dude, if that doesn't get your blood pumping, man, I don't know what does. But like you said about Barber, he had the second most snaps behind J.D. McKissick, had 2 red zone touchdowns. I don't think any of us saw that coming. I don't think anybody had them in their fantasy lineup, that's for sure. He may have only had 29 yards, but he is clearly the red zone running back of this team. Owen, I don't know how you felt about the Adrian Peterson release. Does seeing Barber this week soften the blow, and do you now buy him as the power back of this team? I know it's week 1, but do you see it?
I see Chris shaking his head, but I'm going to go right against what he's thinking. And yes, I do. I see Peyton Barber being the power back of this team. I see him being a phenomenal back. Honestly, I don't really like phenomenal. I think he has with the scheme that Ron has and Scott Turner has. I can see him being the guy. I know this is not going to be a popular opinion. I had Adrian getting released back in what was it? The second month of off season, I thought Adrian Peterson was going to get released after we signed Barber. And I think it's because if we gave Adrian Peterson the ball in the same play we gave Barber the ball, right? He would have ducked and run right into the defense.
Oh, come on.
Power through, right?
Did you see AP in Detroit?
I did not. I didn't see.
He had 93 rushing yards. That helps you.
Okay,
he looked explosive.
Would he have dived like Barber did?
Tell me this. I'll ask you. I'll answer your question with a question. Would it have taken him 3 tries to score on the goal line?
Probably.
I don't know.
Probably. Y'all are forgetting how how not athletic he was in this past.
That's fair. That's
year.
completely fair.
I like Barber's athleticism, which is what we need in a young offense like we have. We need an athletic power back, and that's not what we had in Adrian.
I agree. Athletic power back. Isn't that Gibson?
No, Gibson is not a power back.
He's 6'2", 220.
Gibson can hit a safety or a corner or even possibly a linebacker out in the field, but he's not going to hit somebody when there's two defensive linemen in his way. Barber's going to hit those defensive linemen.
Barber actually vaulted. It was a pretty sweet play, to be honest. I mean, he surprised me, but it's hard for me to imagine that he is going to bring all of the physicality that Adrian Peterson brought to this team. I think it's more like it's a contextual kind of thing, Okay. I mean,
all the physicality, I completely agree with you. However, he has a lot more athleticism, and I just think that's why.
And that's a completely fair argument. So clearly, Owen Smith now of Washington Brawl is a believer in the Peyton Barber hype, and I'm not believing it.
Hey,
but maybe I'll turn around. Go ahead.
I got a feeling you want to move on from the running backs, but before you do, we got to talk about McKissick, man. McKissick was listed as the starting running back today. He finished with negative yardage, which went against my fantasy team because I'm the dumbass who started him. And look, here's my biggest takeaway from McKissick. He didn't get many touches. I don't know exactly how many touches he got for sure, but I'll tell you right here. He only had 44% of the offensive snaps.
He had the most snaps. I know that.
Even though it was running back by committee. He didn't have the most carries, though. I believe that was Barber with 17. But I did not like McKissick getting so many damn targets, especially in crunch time situations.
I mean, you remember us talking to Mitch, and I said he is the Chris Thompson of this offense, and everybody kind of rolled their eyes at me. But I mean, once we saw,
he didn't give us Chris Thompson results.
They tried though. That's clearly schematically where they want him.
If it's 3rd and 3, man, I understand that there's opportunities where you get a running back coming out the backfield that can just find a soft spot in the zone, but he was double covered, and maybe you put that on Dwayne. Maybe you put that on Dwayne. You don't.
Here's what I'm saying. Bryce Love comes back healthy, McKissick's snap is going to drop even more, right?
I think Gibson's snaps are only going to go up. I think Gibson's going to get a lot of looks in the red zone as well. I think this committee is going to change a lot throughout the season. So, but, we ended up scoring on that drive we were referring to earlier. So that puts us up by 10 on the Eagles with several minutes left when Deron Payne and Ryan Kerrigan put the nail in the coffin as they forced the last turnover on Wentz.
4-man rush, pressure again, Ioannidis. Wentz steps in trouble. Sack, ball is looped, picked up by Washington. It's Kerrigan. Washington has it with a strip sack.
Who at that point was visibly overwhelmed.
To say the least. To say the least.
You guys saw the meme, right?
Yeah.
I don't think so. You got to enlighten me.
Waking up on Monday and it's Wentz on his back.
Yeah. No, they said he looked like like he was supposed to be in the WAP music video.
Oh my God. I don't even want to know what part, but the Washington football team would go to win the game 27-17 against their division rival and stand alone officially atop the NFC East because the New York Football Giants at the beginning of this episode, as we said, just fell to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So guys, we're fresh off a big win. First game pod actually for Washington Brawl. First win of the Ron Rivera era. Most clamor that Philly beat themselves, especially with plays like that huge Zach Ertz drop on 4th down. But if you guys could attribute this loss to one individual on Philadelphia, who would it be and why? Owen, I'll start with you.
One individual on – oh, wow. That's going to be difficult. I think, honestly, it would be – I think Carson Wentz didn't play well with his – like, he took too many sacks. He should have thrown the ball away. If it was on Philadelphia, I think he should have thrown the ball away a lot more. I think he tried his best. I think that he played well when he could get the ball out, but he should have thrown it away a lot more than he did.
Carson actually posted a record low QBR of 14.1. I think a lot of that is a tribute to the pressure, man. Sometimes Wentz holds on to the ball too much, goes for that home run ball way more often than he should. He did have 2 awful interceptions, and you could make the argument that he let them back to this game. But I gotta give it to one man and one man only. Mr. I'm not getting paid enough. Mr. I'm gonna play like this is my last year in Philly. It's gonna be your last year in Philly, Zach Ertz, if you're dropping passes like that.
Let it be his last year, please. His last year.
Zach Ertz left his quarterback out to dry. His quarterback found him middle of the field, right in the hands. You don't drop that ball. You know, you can say whatever you want about Carson Wentz. You can say he's injury prone. You can question his decision making. But at the end of the day, he's definitely clutch, and he is going to try to put his team in the best position to win. And he was in that situation. And Zach Ertz is a guy who's looking to be one of the highest paid tight ends in the NFL, like your Kittles, like your Kelce's. Kittle and Kelsey make that play, but Zach Ertz didn't. So I think that does nothing to hurt his stock. Chris?
Yeah, I feel like I'm taking the easy way out, but I'm going to say Carson Wentz for sure. I'll give it to Zach Ertz. He did not – that was not the Zach Ertz we're accustomed to seeing, and it wasn't because of anything we really did other than maybe the defensive line. Because I can tell you this, no linebacker we have out there is covering Zach Ertz on play in and play out. Nobody. But Carson Wentz just made too many mistakes, man, and even on things that weren't really his fault, sacks, he still probably gave up an extra 5 or 6 yards per sack just by not doing what he should have done and just throwing it away or rolling out. He just the backpedaling stuff where he just I don't know what he was trying to do.
Russell Wilson.
He just didn't look good. And both interceptions are purely on Carson Wentz. I mean, that's just a ball you cannot throw.
1:44 to go first half, 17-0 Philadelphia. Wentz drops back. He'll throw on first down.
Go get it! Go get it!
He was looking.
We needed that.
Jalen Reagor, but it is picked off by Fabian Moreau at the 42-yard line. And so Washington gets the play they needed, and they take over in Philadelphia territory.
I like to take a little credit for that one now, Bram. I taught that young man. You hear me?
Did you?
I taught that young man, go get the football. Carson just floats one out there in the flats, and Fabian Moreau goes and makes a play. That is what you needed. Right before the half, we got some momentum, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
And I mean, it was close. It was close.
I think the
both
DB
Moreau,
just wanted it more than he did.
Yeah, both Moreau and Moreland definitely made big plays there. They definitely made big plays there. But that's on Carson Wentz. That's on the quarterback. If Dwayne makes that play, like look at it from the opposite view. If Dwayne makes that play, who are we blaming? That's on Dwayne. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I definitely put this on Carson Wentz. And I want to talk. I don't know if you want to get into it more, but I want to say it now while I have the opportunity. You know, we talked about Dwayne not having the best performance, and I agree he didn't have the best performance. But we were in a situation late in the game when we were down at the goal line, and the last thing you could do was take a sack or throw a pick, and he had no one open. And last year, Dwayne Haskins would have tried to fit it in somewhere. He would have run around and taken a sack or just strictly done something stupid. Instead, we see him climb the pocket, and he ended up getting tackled for a gain of 0. I don't know if you call it a sack or a gain of 0.
He got smacked.
But that you're talking about the slide at the goal line. Can we talk about that?
How was that not a penalty?
Yes, I want to talk about that. Yeah,
oh
okay.
God.
Yeah, we got more stuff to talk about. Apke, man, that's not a penalty. The hit on Dwayne, that's a penalty. You can call us. You know, I think every NFL team feels like they don't get calls their way or whatever, but I don't know. I'm trying to look at it as unbiased as possible. The Apke hit, I don't know. You can say that is a penalty in today's league. I don't think that should be a penalty in today's league. It might be a penalty by the law, but I don't think it should be. The hit on Dwayne, though, that's purely a penalty.
You can't stop momentum in those instances, and I think the National Football League just needs to do a better job of calling that down the middle and calling it what it is. But I love the points that you're making about Carson Wentz. I think they're great. I think he was trying to do too much in a position where he didn't really have to do too much. You know, when you're making that lucrative contract, all that money, you know, they're going to expect you to be Superman. You know, he's not Russell Wilson. You know, he's a hell of an athlete. You know, I mean, he's extremely versatile. You know, he's a great running quarterback when he wants to be. But at the end of the day, you know, I mean, this is his 5th year in the league, you know. And on the other side of the spectrum, you know, with Wentz, you've got the guy who's doing too much. And then with Haskins, you got the guy who's doing just enough to put his team in a position to win. And I will take that every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So I would much rather have Dwayne Haskins doing what he needs to do than Carson Wentz doing so much to the point where he's going to break his own back, because he's going to break something with that offensive line the way it is. So on the, like I said, we said who messed it up for Philly? Who was the MVP for the Washington football team? This is our last question. Chris, I'll start with you.
It's tough, man, because a lot of guys made big plays. I think Moreau definitely, you know, flipped the script, flipped the momentum. I think he's definitely responsible for changing the pace of the game. I think I'm giving the MVP to Ron Rivera, man. This is not a team we've seen before. You know, the man gets an effing IV at halftime. I got to know what's in that IV, because he came out in the second half, a man on a mission. So, yeah, and going forward on 4th down, just I could not believe it. and I'll give MVP to the whole coaching staff if I can do that, because Jack Del Rio never seen our defense look that good, man. It's just I know they got some players out there, but Minuski would have found a way to make these players look like D3 players.
He would have found a way to mess it up. And honestly,
I'll say Chase had a good game. Kerrigan had a good game. Dwayne did enough. There were a lot of guys who had an impact on this game, but I think overall you got to give the MVP to Ron Rivera and his coaching staff.
Because people are buying into what Rivera is selling, I mean, it's coming.
Did you see the energy in that in the locker room after the game where Rivera's giving out game balls? Dude, it gave me chills.
Wow. First, I want to give. Where's Ryan Kerrigan? Team sack leader. Hey, there's going to be a few more. We got to watch the tape. There's going to be a few more, but I want to give this to the coordinators, guys, because I've had my struggles and they've been great. All of them. Jack. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know who played that first quarter. Dressed in burgundy. The guys that played second, third, fourth quarter, they knew what it was all about. Hey, you guys, I'm telling you, you guys are the real deal. Okay? I didn't know, nobody knew, but when I saw you guys turn your ass around and get it going in the second quarter, it made me realize just exactly how good you guys can be. Trust me, fellas, it's in here. It really is. You look at what we did as an offense, as a defense, as a special teams against that team, the defending NFC East champs, that tells you can play. Now, don't get a big head, because next week we got another task. Yes, sir. It's a completely different football team. Yes, but we take them one at a time. Enjoy this, because you guys earned the right to enjoy this one. I'll tell you that much right now. Okay, I'm going to tell you one thing too, guys. It's a humbling experience to win. It's a humbling experience to lose. Be humble, be forthright, and again, whatever you do, be the Washington football team.
Like Coach said, guys.
First win as head coach.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's just the beginning of who we can become, guys. Believe in it. Believe in the process. Team on three. 1, 2, 3.
It's such.
Chase Young was dancing.
You can feel the unity. Yeah, you can feel the unity.
Ryan Kerrigan comes up and hugs Chase Young as he's getting his game ball. That's crazy. That's a 50-year-old veteran and a brand new rookie.
I mean, Ron Rivera, man, he's the real deal. And he's not a player, but I definitely agree that his impact he's brought to this organization, just what he's already instilled in this building, and only one offseason and now one game where they were victorious. It's priceless. That's really the only word I can think of. As far as most valuable player is concerned, I got to give it to Ryan Kerrigan. Now has the franchise sack leader record in 92. It's an off season where he was extremely doubted. I was one of them. I was saying that we should have traded him to the Broncos last week. He heard me calling him old man. He heard all the Ryan Kerrigan wanted all the smoke. He was tired of being he was tired of being the forgotten man in this pass rush, and now I think that it's going to pay huge dividends this year. And if this is his swan song, I think it's going to be a beautiful one. So lastly, Owen, we'll go to you. Who is your MVP for the Week 1 matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles?
Okay, two things. One, I have one question. It'll be 2 seconds after this. But my MVP is Deron Payne. He brought the pressure all game throughout that. He might have not gotten big highlights, but he had 2 people on him the entire game. I'm not sure if y'all saw the video of the one time he had one person on him, but he about threw, it looked like Jason Kelsey into Carson Wentz.
Yeah. And that's an all-pro Super Bowl winning center. I mean,
they're also Deron Payne one forced fumble. They gave that to him.
Good.
Okay, you see that? See, I think Payne, just his consistency with the pressure is what made me go, yeah, I like him a lot. And then my question for you guys is, my friend on Twitter, 50 Gut Blog, came up with this, and I really like it.
Oh, it's my
Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. for the defensive nickname.
Ooh,
I kind of like that.
I do like. Someone for the team actually came out today and said, we got to win more than one game. We start making up nicknames. But as an early front runner,
our whole team doesn't even have a nickname. What are we talking about?
I like Monster Inc. though.
Look. The best joke I saw on Twitter after the game was these guys really came out trying to make a name for themselves. That was by far my favorite Twitter joke of the week.
I saw somebody say they really just lost to a team with no name, and there was the other one of it showed Eagles walking up to it was like a regular body. It's that meme where he says, you guys need to call an ambulance, but not for me. And it shows it's just, if you know what meme I'm talking about. Kind of drag that out a little bit, but with that pass rush, man, you can really pick anybody, and it was just a great team win. Marcus Spears of ESPN said it best when he said, "You better be careful if you fall behind against a Washington football team because your quarterback's probably not going to be available the following week." So that's about all the time we got this week, guys. This Friday we'll come to you with our preview of the Week 2 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, who are fresh off of a big win against the NFC champion 49ers. So we're going to break that down to you, give you a preview of that matchup. So make sure you guys give us a follow on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Washington Brawl. Also follow our new guy at NFL Owen. Head over to www.brawlnetwork.com. Read our latest pieces by Washington Brawl's own lead writer, Dave Operman. Also, buy a little shirt. I mean, give it a look right here. If you watch on YouTube. Buy somewhere. Yeah, Chris got the Riverboat Ron on. Support your boys. We got some great new designs up. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Make sure you subscribe to us, whatever you're listening to this on. Also on YouTube, where Chris has been absolutely killing it lately. Make sure you check out our Madden 21 Washington Brawl Game of the Week series, where yours truly is taking on randoms as the Washington football team online in Madden 21. Those games are getting crazy. But as far as this episode, we'll catch you guys this Friday as we look on Arizona. But I say this with the utmost importance to anyone who's listening to this, who's been a diehard fan of this team this offseason. Enjoy this. Relish it. Your Washington football team is 1-0.
Look at us. Hey. Look at us. Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
This
Can't believe it.
Has been the Washington Brawl podcast presented to you by the Brawl Network. See you guys Friday.
Peace.